Imagine waking up rich and going to bed with nothing. No war, no invasion, no enemy at the gates. Just an ordinary day in America when paper wealth vanished, banks collapsed, and millions of families discovered that the system they trusted could erase them overnight. This wasn't just an economic crash, it was a human disaster. And the most terrifying part is that it didn't begin with poverty. It began with prosperity. To understand how the world fell apart, we have to rewind to 1918. World War I has just ended. America has won. Soldiers return home as heroes. Factories that once produced tanks and weapons are suddenly free to make cars, radios, and refrigerators. The country explodes with confidence. Cities glow with electric lights. Jazz music pours out of clubs and dance halls. Skyscrapers rise higher every year, symbols of a nation that believes nothing can stop it. For the first time, modern consumer life is born. Women, who entered the workforce during the war, have tasted independence. Culture shifts, social rules loosen, money flows. This era becomes known as the Roaring Twenties. And at the center of this transformation stands a man in Detroit, Michigan. Henry Ford. By perfecting the moving assembly line, Ford changes manufacturing forever. What once took 12 hours to build now takes 90 minutes. The Model T becomes affordable. Its price drops from $780 to less than $300. By 1927, over 15 million cars roll onto American roads. And when America builds, everything moves with it. Steel, oil, rubber, glass. The economy isn't just growing, it's accelerating. New products flood the market. Radios bring voices into living rooms. Washing machines save hours of labor. Vacuum cleaners promise modern comfort. Advertising explodes through radio, the first true mass media revolution. Everyone wants the newest thing. Everyone wants the American dream. But there's a problem. Most people can't actually afford it. So banks step in with a simple promise. Buy now, pay later. Credit becomes easy. Loans become casual. Debt becomes invisible. Cars are financed. Radios are financed. Even everyday household items are financed. And eventually, so are stocks. Wall Street becomes a playground. Between 1921 and 1929, the stock market increases nearly 6 times over. Regular people flood in. Teachers, clerks, factory workers. Many buy stocks on margin, putting down as little as 10% and borrowing the rest. It's legal. It's encouraged. It's normalized. When prices rise, confidence turns into arrogance. People stop asking what a company is worth. They start asking how fast they can get rich. Stock prices detach from reality. Profits don't matter. Risk doesn't matter. Optimism drowns out caution. A few economists warn that the market is overheated. A few bankers whisper concern, but they're ignored. In 1929, President Herbert Hoover confidently declares that America is closer to conquering poverty than ever before in history. The nation believes him. To many, the stock market isn't speculation. It's proof that the system works. Until it doesn't. October 24th, 1929. Black Thursday. Panic hits Wall Street. Millions of shares are sold in hours. 5 days later comes Black Tuesday. 16 million shares flood the market. Prices collapse. In just 2 weeks, nearly 1/3 of the stock market's value disappears. Fortunes evaporate, savings vanish, dreams collapse. But here's the truth most people miss. The stock market crash did not cause the Great Depression. It exposed it. Behind the booming market was a fragile banking system built on risk and optimism. At the time, American banks are small, local, and largely unregulated. There is no deposit insurance, no federal protection, no safety net. Banks lend heavily to stock speculators. They gamble with depositors' money. When markets fall, loans default. Banks fail overnight, and fear spreads faster than facts. People rush to withdraw savings, even from healthy banks. This triggers bank runs. In New York, a single rumor brings tens of thousands of people to one bank in a single day. By 1933, more than 9,000 banks collapse. 9 million savings accounts disappear. Families lose everything. The money supply shrinks by nearly 1/3. This creates deflation. Prices fall, wages fall, debt becomes heavier, people stop spending, businesses stop investing, factories shut down. And through it all, the Federal Reserve does almost nothing. A decision historians would later call one of the greatest policy failures in modern history. The crisis doesn't stop at America's borders. U.S. banks pull money from Europe. Germany collapses. Britain struggles. The global financial system begins to unravel. Then comes a fatal mistake. In 1930, the United States passes the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, raising taxes on foreign imports. Other countries retaliate. Global trade collapses by more than 60%. Instead of cooperation, the world turns inward. Isolation replaces solidarity, and ordinary people pay the price. By the early 1930s, unemployment in the United States reaches nearly 25%. 1 in 4 Americans who wants to work can't find a job. Factories fall silent, cities fill with breadlines, families skip meals, children faint in classrooms from hunger. Savings are gone, dignity is stretched thin. Homelessness spreads, shantytowns rise on the edges of cities, built from scrapwood and cardboard. They are called Hoovervilles, named after the president many now blame. And as if economic collapse weren't enough, nature turns cruel. Years of aggressive farming strip the Great Plains of protective grass. The rain stops, the wind rises, the Dust Bowl is born. Massive storms blacken the sky, crops fail, livestock suffocate, farmers lose their land. Families pack what little they have and flee west, chasing rumors of work and survival. By the worst years of the Depression, more than 34 million Americans have no income at all. This is not just an economic failure, it is a failure of human dignity. In 1932, America chooses change. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is elected president. In his inaugural address, he speaks directly to a broken nation. The only thing we have to fear, he says, is fear itself. And then he acts. Banks are closed, inspected, and stabilized. Deposit insurance is created so people will never again lose their savings overnight. Wall Street is regulated. Speculation is restrained. Millions are put to work building roads, bridges, dams, and schools. Young men plant trees. Families receive relief. Social Security is born, promising that old age will no longer mean abandonment. The goal is not instant wealth, it is stability. Slowly, confidence returns. Not optimism, not excess, but trust. The Great Depression does not end with celebration. It ends with work, with protection, with responsibility. And as the economy recovers, another storm gathers overseas. Extremism rises. Nations arm themselves. In 1939, the world is pulled into war once again. Only then does full employment return. Only then does industrial production fully restart. The Great Depression teaches lessons that still matter today. Markets need rules. Greed without limits destroys lives. Governments cannot disappear during crisis. And most importantly, economic systems exist to serve people, not the other way around. The Great Depression wasn't just a collapse of money. It was a collapse of trust. And every time economies overheat, every time debt grows invisible, every time people believe that this time is different, history quietly clears its throat. Because bubbles always burst. And when they do, it's never numbers that suffer first. It's people.